everybody, Marilyn here with Cotton and Chocolate. This is Saturday Sampler Stormy C, and we're in March, and we're going to be doing 2 blocks this month, and they're called Wave Block and Surf Block. And so we're first going to be doing the Wave Block, and it's on page 5 of your pattern. And I'll show you where the blocks are. It's great this month because actually the blocks are the exact same block, just different fabric. And so this is what they look like in the quilt. This is the wave block right here. And then the surf block is right down here. And it's really cool because even though they're exactly the same block, they really look different in the quilt. I love that about quilts like this, when they just switch up the fabrics, and so they really look different. And if you're looking at them in your pattern, this is where they are. Well, mine's upside down there. Yeah, so we won't look at it on my book. We'll look at it in the pattern. Here they are right here. It's right here on your pattern here and here, so you can see them up closely. And I always, as I've said before, look at them in this sheet when you have your fabric guide. And when I'm piecing them, I have this open, and this is what the wave block looks here, so you can keep, you know, it's sorted what the pieces look like, and the surf block's right here against it. So these are the 2 that we're working on. Okay, so first we're going to be talking about the cutting. And again, if you're using the Deb Tucker tools, use that insert that we have that comes in the fabric pack, and in italics it's the changes that we've made. So it would be with the flying geese. Generally that's the only changes we've made in this block. So I have them cut up because I've done the piecing, but I'll point out what the fabric looks like. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is fabric 2, and fabric 2 is this piece right here. This is fabric 2, and this is what it looks like. We're going to be cutting 4. So the fabric comes in a long strip. You're going to be cutting the strip in half at 3 1/4 and 3 1/4. You need 3 1/4 inch strips, and you're going to be cutting 4 3 1/4 inch squares for your half square triangles, and 2 3 1/4 inch pieces for your square and a square. And on those 2 3 1/4 inch squares for your square and a squares, you're going to be cutting them once on the diagonal for your square and a square pieces, so that you'll end up with 4 triangles. Okay, so that's for fabric 2. And then from the rest of that piece on the one strip, you'll have some left over. And on that, you're going to cut it down to 2.5 inches and cut 4 2.5 inch squares. And that's what those look like. And you'll be using those for your corner blocks. So from fabric 3 is this fabric right here. Looks just like that. You're going to be cutting one big 5 3/4 inch square, and that's for our flying geese. I've already pieced that, so I can't show you the big square, but we all know what a 5 3/4 inch square looks like. Do not cut it at all, just keep it in a square, and you'll be cutting the rest of that. So you'll be cutting that off the end, and then you'll have the rest of that piece left over, and you'll be cutting 4 2.5 inch squares. From fabric 6, that's the green that looks just like this in our flying geese. You're going to be cutting 1 5 3/4 inch square, also for your flying geese, and you're going to be cutting 4 3 1/4 inch squares for your flying geese also, because they're in the base and they're in the wings of your geese, so they're both for flying geese. You won't be cutting those at all, just keep them in your squares. And then fabric 11, which is your kind of the dark green here, and it's for your half square triangles. It looks just like this. You're going to be cutting 4 excuse me, 3 1/4 inch squares. Just leave them in a square. And then fabric 13, which is your dark piece here, you're going to be cutting 1 3 3/8, and that's for your square and a square. 1 3 3/8 inch square, and then 4 3 1/4 inch squares, and that's for your flying geese. Okay, so I have a lot of the pieces done, as you can see, and I'll see you back in a minute, and we'll talk about the piecing.